Okie dokie. So back again with the Boulevard of Broken Dreams, talking about the new season in Crossout. Now notably it is rather late in the day, so I kind of missed the best time period for releasing this, which would probably be when people are actually at work, ideally, you know, before lunch. But I neither stayed up late enough last night for the update nor woke up early enough this morning, so instead we're doing the video now. That being said, this time I was a bit more clever, so I've already spreadsheet, I want to say everything. I probably missed some things, so that portion isn't going to be in this video, just the results, and hopefully none of those are wrong. Very possible there's an error. If you find one, do feel free to let me know and then I'll make an addendum. But otherwise can basically just actually talk about the values rather than spreadsheeting them. So to begin with, it's basically a new season entirely focused on helicopters. So there's, well, I mean, aircraft, air battles in general, essentially. So there's going to be multiple propellers that are released and a battle pass that comes along with it, like basically any other fucking update for the last little bit. So I will talk about this in depth later to actually go through the new stuff. Well, I didn't actually read this before, but this seems to be literally the exact same as before. So yeah, all the EXP is the same. So we're gonna actually, I don't know why they wanted to put this one here first, because they actually specify way later down that there's actually a rare tier one that comes from the engineers now. So technically this is the first one on the list there for the rotors. So they're going to have 3, they're called coaxial rotors, or at least that's how they have them labeled in-game. So 3 coaxial rotors, which are, from the looks of it, just variants of the same. It looks like the Seagull might be slightly smaller in blade width, but otherwise I'm like 99% sure the Falco and the Petrel are the same mesh, and not only that, but actually rehashes of the helicopter propeller, quote-unquote, which we got for essentially the version of this last year. So there's those, and then there's also an offset rotor. They call it a main rotor, but I don't know why, which is basically like an Uber hover. It's funny, they kind of even recycled the mesh for it a bit. And that one sticks off to the side, obviously. So that's going to be your baby for any sort of helicarrier nonsense, other than it only having 1200 tonnage, which is disgustingly low for actually making like a heavy build one, because they need up to like 16,000 tonnage. So you're going to need a lot of these fuckers. But the other ones are a little bit more realistically tonnaged. So for the sake of... well, of course it's angry at me when I click away from that. Discussing this, like I said, I've already spreadsheeted all, so compared to the other movement parts, their stats, so they actually do have a power drain now, as opposed to, again, this legacy one from last year, which didn't have any power drain and thus has like disgustingly high values compared to everything else as a result of calculations of divided by power. But in any case, this is what they are now. So you can actually see they actually went and tried to balance these somewhat. They're not like disgustingly high compared to every other value here, just like high in general. So they're also not going to be technically very durable, but they do have 50% damage pass-through, which essentially means you can double the durability of this. And now that you can put multiple on a build, and probably should based off of the tonnage that some of these give, there's not as much risk as being depropellered. Now I will note that they don't do a really good job of specifying it. But there is a couple of limitations with it and how it works. So there's going to be that which for what it's worth to actually show what that means. Basically, there's another slot now, which is specifically for armored aircraft, and that's the one where you queue into ones that are specifically for armored aircraft that have that little symbol in the bottom right. So if you don't have that symbol, you can't do it, which is to say I believe you can't do raids with them, but I could totally be wrong because I haven't actually tried, because as you can tell my armored slot is empty. So the rotors are separate. So the prior way it worked is this was just disgusting amount of tonnage and literally zero power drain. But now the way it works is that you basically have two modes. You're going to have on-ground mode and you're going to have in-air mode, and that wasn't new, but now the tonnage and power are going to apply separately, which is to say that you'll have power score costs for both departments, but only one of their power, tonnage, perks are going to be active at a time. So again, if you wanted to have some like a helicarrier, like with a super heavy cabin and the Pegasus and all those delicious fusions, you'd probably need 3 or 4 petrols. But if you wanted to move on the ground, you'd still need another 15, 20,000 tonnage worth of other parts. So that's going to crank power score with these really high up. As far as the perks, it seems like the petrol is just a rehash of the Bigfoot wheel. So their perk description is literally identical, other than a couple of words being swapped out, like decrease to reduce. So I suspect it's going to work the same way that I discovered when I was talking about the calculations for Bigfoot before, because they say that they reduce the travel counter, but what they actually do is they increase the amount traveled, and that is pertinent to the calculation and how it actually does it due to how math basically works out. So it's the same thing as like damage reduction and damage resistance. This is the specific post I'm referring to. So the fact that the Bigfoot's description is minus 50% required, but the calculations actually work out to being plus distance covered, which is math. So I'm suspecting the petrol works the same way. It's just a copy paste of the perk, but it might actually work differently. Again, I don't have one, so I don't know, but it'll maybe be tested later, if not by me, then by somebody else. Likewise, the Hummingbird is literally the same perk as the Hardened Tract, although it actually goes up to what is this, 5 to 20%. I believe one of these is actually 5 to 25%, unless it got nerfed. So Hardened Track is 20%. Yeah, the bonus, maximum bonus for the Hummingbird is actually 25%, so that's up to running 6 of these guys. But again, if you're running a super heavy build and you aren't running a plus tonnage engine, you'll be needing multiple anyway. But on the other hand, if you're running that, then you know that might be a factor, the speed limit. So you might want to run a tonnage one anyway. Theoretically, I don't actually know what the speed caps of these are that don't label it. I'm assuming it's the same as like wheels, and it's 120 technically without boosters. But again, I haven't tested, so I'm not 100% certain about that. So that is those new guys being added in. Some new structural parts, which again I've already spreadsheet. Interestingly, this helicopter wing is something I like mocked up beforehand with my prior build. So when I actually go back in game, we'll get to that. Now this is what I was talking about before. Basically, you have to have an armored aircraft in the armored aircraft modes, where you can have a ground vehicle in both. They added some new maps. None of them seem to have evolutions, but I'm not sure that helicarrier is actually there, but I could be wrong. This doesn't really do a good job of showing maps, so I'll just probably custom battle. Or I guess you guys can probably check the actual live stream that they did. It should probably be actually a smarter idea to not bloat this map as much. So they're saying that they added a couple of the base maps into the armored aircraft options, and then they also added the new maps into patrol, so you can muck about there. They increased how high some of the guns can shoot, which is good for the anti-aircraft aspect. They added 2 additional truck slopes. I don't know why but whatever, I'm not complaining. I'm assuming it has something to do with the build they made, whether it's in the game now or at some point in the future. I don't know. They changed some interface things. I'm not entirely sure what all of these mean for sure when it says like how to save a blueprint in any slot. So I believe what they're referring to is the blueprint slots now being specified what type they are, so armored car or armored aircraft or Leviathan, but you could do that before, I think. So I don't know what that's about. They added the ability to change your helicopter controls, which is going to be great. They added a tab for it in the player profile. They changed a couple of interfaces basically to make up for this new thing to show it. Boom, 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 boom. They seem to specify that they're adding like clipping issues by highlighting them rather than just preventing you from placing, but I'm not 100% sure because generally speaking they prevent you from placing that part to begin with. So I don't know. New sound, always great. They changed a couple of things again specific to interface. Sorry, that's not interface, but that is with regards to the rotors. Fixed some bugs I have no idea about, and then they unbroke some bugs. So as for the new parts otherwise, so have a mine layer that is basically not a mine layer. So like it just shoots them out and down, which is pretty interesting. And then their perk is specific to that. So if you're above a certain height, it just auto detonates. And if you're below, or if rather the target environmental object is below a certain height, then it just sits there and works as a proximity explosive. So that's pretty neat. This is a really fast firing one. It's basically a flak cannon, so the perk is written kind of terribly, but it's just saying that if it's within 1 meter of an enemy, it'll automatically blow up for twice the radius and no damage drop off, or at least that's how I think it's supposed to mean. But that one is pretty interesting. They added flares, which I have some concerns with, admittedly. So like it's nice when we get items that you run 1 or 2 of on a build in Battle Passes in general, because it means that you only need the one from the Battle Pass in the case of like an engine like the Pegasus. Or if it's a weapon, then you only need one other one, and ideally it's not like a quality of life upgrade, so something like plus overheating time or something, because then if you fire that with a regular weapon, they'll end up out of sync. But things like damage or like rotation speed, stuff like that is less annoying. But as per prior battle passes recently, you're only getting one of these each, but if you're running both of them anyway, then whatever. But the flares are going to be interesting because they're something that's actually been of interest to people for a while. So when we basically had the Nest Apocalypse, or we had the Dusk Pyres everywhere and stuff like that, there was actually demand for this already, which is something that distracts rockets. So we have quite a few options that just straight up destroy rockets. So you can use a Tesla gun, you can just shoot them down. You can use something like the Argus, which will destroy mine layers, stuff like that. But this is the first one that actually works to basically pull a Swifty and pull them off to the side. Now, my understanding is that means that it can still actually damage things, including yourself, depending on when they land. But again, haven't tested it yet. This is just my first assumption. So it's pretty cool that we're getting it, and it's good that they are limiting it. But it's interesting to note that this takes up 0 energy, so even though it has its power score and its ammunition and its mass restrictions, and a really weirded perk, which is basically just saying this, which is that it distracts homing rockets. There's really no reason not to include it on every build ever. Like, if Cloak was 0 energy, everybody would use it all the time. So, like, yes, we're super low on hotkeys already, and yes, there are technically power score constraints where this would matter. But if you're at anything above 10,000 power score anyway, there's no reason not to just literally always have this on your build, because it will assist in taking away rocket lock. And the mass restriction is whatever, the ammunition restriction is whatever, the power score restriction doesn't matter above 10,000 anyway. So Yeah, that could be concerning. Plus, people are definitely just going to spam them for the like particle effect spam aspect of it, on top of like holograms and flares, like actual flares, rather than this, which is, for whatever godforsaken reason, considered a weapon. Just like with the Enlightenment, which also is definitely not a weapon. So I don't know why they didn't just put it in as like a hardware thing. But it's not. These three are weapons, even though they deal literally 0 damage, are completely utility and don't have any patches associated with them. But, you know, they're weapons for sure. New cabin is quite interesting for a number of reasons. So, I mean, I guess I could show, like, I did do the weapon logs, but, like, without actually knowing the damage or the math on it, these aren't going to be super interestingly good data, I don't think. But like, I will note what does annoy me actually on this same page is that I totally just scrolled past it, is how they line this up, because like, this is definitely exploding bullets, and yet they have it in line with these ones, which notably fire actual bullets that don't explode. And then these are also meant to be literally, by definition of their parameters, like baby cyclones that don't explode. So it's weird to me that they have the cyclone on top of the fast-firing other ones for like, these ones are skirmishing weapons, this is a skirmishing weapon, these ones are brawler weapons, this is a brawler weapon. Do they have them in the correct columns though? No. Why? Fuck you. I don't know why. Fuck us, quote-unquote devs. Who knows? The Hippogriff, however, is, I mean, it's a helicopter cockpit, which is great. We always need more of those. It is the only cabin now that has a cabin speed limit of 85, because they kick a bunch of those around. And its whole shtick is it has, like, a innate radar, which is, like, the best one in the game. And then you can also activate it to get shams for 7 seconds. So this thing seems super cracked, honestly, kind of better than a beholder. On that note, for confusing you with the tech tree, they say that it is a upgraded Ghost because it's a helicopter cabin, I guess. It doesn't make any sense to me. I also would have had the Beholder be an upgraded Ghost because they're literally both cloaking, and this is also helicopter cabin, and they're approximately in the same speed tier, but again, the devs said, nah, fuck logic. So, as far as the comparison for that, again, this screen isn't probably going to be super enlightening, other than like comparing specific values and showing that it's not like a enormous outlier like some of these other ones are, and it's actually kind of low on the tonnage needed and on the available mass compared to its contemporaries. But again, it's also a higher speed one than all the rest of these. So if we actually look at my updated speed comparison chart, it is now the only one in that missing category that we had. So as a result of re-adding a non-existent category, I had to rename all of these again. So this is my current, definitely not final, because I guarantee we're going to get ultra heavy ones again. But, oh, and then they updated the big rams, so these values are actually changed as well. But I also stopped playing the game for the last like 2 months. So there's probably a bunch of other things that I missed that I'll have to catch up on as well. Big Ram Lake. Huzzah, look at that. There's no 45 category anymore because that'd be silly. So now we just have the ML200 at 50 and then other things being faster. So again, I doubt that all of these other values are, you know, correct. But if they aren't, hopefully I'll catch them now and not after. I don't know why I have these separated, but I have these all together in one line. So just goes to show there's more to do. In any case, this is my new, definitely not final labeling system for it. So heavy, semi-heavy. I wonder, did they update the Goliaths as well again? They're 55 to start with. Okay, great. That's not changed. So heavy is going to be currently the heaviest version. I stay away from labeling it like ultra heavy or super heavy, because again, I'm pretty fucking sure they're going to add another category underneath. I don't know, in theory, you could call these like the semi-heavy, or sorry, that's probably not a good term for it. The super heavy, and then pull all the rest of these definitions over and then like do that. Maybe I don't know. It's I wish I knew the answer, but unfortunately they keep changing things, so I'm not confident in any one single answer. But in any case, like, these is the options you got for the categories, and then for the relevant chart, which is where the name actually comes into play, because I'm not putting all of these names another time in this chart, but just the categories. So if you have Phobos, it adds another 5. So as a result, if you're a light cabin, you add Phobos, you basically go into the super light category. Beforehand, it was a lot worse because we had more spaces. So I had to have like the Torero tier by itself, and then Torero plus 5 kph, and then the next tier, and then that tier plus 5 kph. So this is a lot more condensed compared to where it was a long time ago, in the sense that there's no breaks between any of these values. At the same time, obviously the extremes are further away, since we now have super light and ultralight categories, and the mid light and semi light categories are just basically empty. But in any case, this is the new speed chart, including even with the Pegasus and the approximate kphs you'd get without using boosters. And then again, if you use Phobos, you just go down one category, because that value is also calculated by the engine speed, or rather affected by the engine speed, as if that plus 5 kph was a direct cabin bonus, rather than adding the 5 at the end or anything silly like that. So that also makes this system a lot more simple, at least in my eyes. So as far as the use of this, I think it's going to be pretty crazy. I think it's going to be extremely popular. I don't know if I'd say meta, but like realistically, if you're playing with a team like a pre-made, a clan, you're going to want at least one of these things, because it's just a free Doppler, if nothing else. So if we compare the actual values compared to this for why is it not scrolling up? That's kind of funny, but not very useful. So compared to these, I guess I should probably maybe add another category for looking at it. I don't know. Life's just difficult. But let's just do that real quick. I'm not going to put it further down because this whole sheet is eaten up by the parts master sheet, and it's already angry with me adding new things and not making space for it. So I'm not going to do the calcs down there. I am going to just be kind of cheeky and add values here at the end. So jokes on me not having, everything already spreadsheet, but whatever. So we have our enemy detection radius. I'm going to eat you down with the radios. So the RS1 Ruby is 300 by default. The RD1 listener is 450. And the RD2 Keen is 600. And we actually also have the ability to upgrade them. So I will do like that, and then the upgrade, I want to say it's 10%. I'm just going to double check on my Xbox here because I already have one that's upgraded. And of note, it's the only upgrade available, so if you do want to like have more distance for just the base like sniping across the map, for instance, the neutrino scope now requires like the radio contact in order to have its module highlight active. So if you want to put this number up, which generally you do, then you can just upgrade them and then you're guaranteed to get the effect. So it is 15%, so it'll be that times 1.15. And I don't know how the rounding works, so I'm just going to use default rounding, I guess, and hope for the best. Like, theoretically, they could do like partial, because each pip is a foot, and thus they could give us 1.5 feet, or just round it to 2 pips. I don't know. I'm just gonna assume they round the value to the nearest whole number because they like making things easy, but I mean, there's no guarantee they like making things easy. In any case, our other types of radar is going to be oh, interestingly, it looks like I'm gonna need to have the radio included as well. So let's see, what would we want to do? It's funny too, because the radio is in its own, like, isn't in this chart, but I definitely have it here. So I'm gonna move these over by 2, and then include enemy, no, information transmission. So that's what it's called. We have the radio, which is going to have a base of 450 and no upgrade available. That's good. These dishes that I already talked about don't have any increases there. The Oculus also has a enemy detection, invisible enemy detection. This all sucks. I'm gonna reword this. Let's see. So there's that line of sight, visible, and then we're gonna have like other ones, but at least we got that. We got that. Great. So for the invisibility, for the Oculus, it's going to be 150. For the verifier, it's going to be 200. And then you can also fuse those, which I also did. This one is not guaranteed, so you can get a couple of different effects here, so I'll show it on there. So I personally went with the invisibility detection radius because it not only increases the base from the 200, but it also actually increases the active effect of it, which is that it increases the radius from 200 to 230 for the pulse as well. That being said, I have no idea if it's actually worthless because it will only reveal them if they're within your normal detection of 200. But in any case, it says up to 230. So like, I'm assuming that it will work. I don't know. I'm also likewise assuming that the recon data transfer zone is the same as like the information transmission radius, just because I would be very sad otherwise if that's not the case. So we're going to likewise make this times 1.15, and then be disgusted when it has bad rounding, and just pretend that that's not an issue, and hope that I'm right. Nice. So the other effect for the... this is going to be, yeah, like it says recon data. I have no idea. I'm just assuming it's this again, even though I could definitely be wrong about it. Especially because there isn't even a fusion for increasing recon data transmission, so kind of hard to tell. But hey, this one is NA as well, so we're just going to, you know, roll with it. And it kind of makes sense, right? So, yeah. Other effect for this is going to be mine detection radius, enemy detection, so mine. And it's going to be default. Oh, I don't even have it listed in this chart for these ones because I haven't updated this evidently again. But the default is 124, and that can be upgraded and is a guaranteed upgrade, which you might have seen earlier when I was showing off the other effect. So that's kind of neat. So it looks like it's 1.25 again, so I'll just copy this and then change it to 1.25, and then the other one is 38, so just assuming that's 30, right? Yeah, 30 to 38, great. So invisibility detection range, 200 to 230. Enemy detection range, oh, it does have basic one as well, so it has 200, and I'm assuming you can upgrade that. Detection radius, yeah, 1.15 again. And then the one for the Oculus has a base range of 150. Okay, so I've got all those, and then there's scopes, but they don't have, they're just zoom now, they don't do the detection radius for things. The Argus has the detection radius, and that can be fused as well. So this is just getting ever so more convoluted. Especially because I'm not even seeing it on my list. Oh, because it's all the way up here. Great. Cool. I'm not going to bother shoving the header up to the header. So it's 60 meters by default, and when you upgrade it, it's 1.25 again. So that thing has actually got chonky mine detection radius, which is nice considering it costs energy. And these other options kind of suck. Kind of like 30 meters is way more than like you're gonna walk into it, but if you're driving at full speed, you have a pretty good chance of driving into it by accident. So, but Argus are like not used generally. I'm assuming there's gonna be a lot more with the new event and helicopters and homing missiles everywhere, but I don't know for sure. So for our last category, we have the Maxwell and the Doppler. So they have a base enemy detection radius of 300, which I guess I should double check. Pretty sure it can be upgraded. And then the Doppler has a, I gotta unlock to even check the upgrades, hate that. Yeah, so it has 1.15 for that, has data transmission range, so it actually has a fusion for that, which again I believe is the information transmission one, and that one is equal to that times 1.15%, and then it has a detection and cover, which is like wall hacks, but I'll just call in cover. And that is a 1.15% increase as well. And the mine detection radius is 1.25. Great, so now I can just type in these values, and in theory it should automatically correct it. So it says the increases the LI transmission radius up to 300. So worse than a radio, but still, like, better than these ones, I guess. And then it has no invisibility. Its mine detection is 16 by default, so less than the other ones. And then its in cover detection radius is 250. And then the Dopplers currently equipped, so I can't check it. So I'll go to the market screen, and it is LI information to 450. The detection to 450. Oh no, I said autofilled. The mine to 20. And then the in cover from 400, and then that's also the one I upgraded on mine, even though again it kicks up the enemy detection in cover higher than the regular transmission or the regular line of sight, so I'm assuming it's not an issue, but I don't know for sure. So anyway, these are the values we got there, and then if we slap in our friend the Hippogriff, which notably can't be upgraded, so that's why it's not going to be technically better than any of these by default, other than, you know, A being free and B being better than the special tier. But yeah, whatever, it is what it is. So it does enemy detection of 360 with no upgrade. It has a mine detection of 90, which is literally higher than a fused fucking Argus, but okay. That's not whack at all. It has a range of detecting and cover of 320. And it has a recon data transfer of 360. So there you go. The difference is that this does not invisibility detect, I suppose. Other than if you use the highlight, maybe. I don't know, but like having a not technically a Doppler tier, but having a slightly above Maxwell tier radar on your build, pretty good in my eyes. Pretty good. So you slap this, and then you could slap on the invisibility detection radius, and then detect everything everywhere all at once for only 1 energy, and then running that cabin. So I suspect we'll be seeing more builds that are specific to like running the information, stuff like that. That'd be pretty cool. And then of course you could do things like run mines or vultures to actually like make choke points and push enemies in specific directions. I don't know. I have a feeling these values will be tweaked. We'll have to see. But at least, again, it's another helicopter cabin, so I simp for it, and its mesh is actually pretty unique as well. So have a nook there on top. I don't know how much of a difference that's going to make for most things. I'm imagining probably not, but like at least it is there. Then it also has another partial one underneath, which is always useful for modules. So pretty cool. My first instinct is like, wow, this is like just they took the growl and they like upped its size by 2 in every direction. But it's not necessarily 100% true, but it is at least a very sleek cabin, and although it's like tall as far as medium cabins are concerned, it's not like grossly high like the Omnibox and going to stick out everywhere. So very large cabin for mediums, very fast cabin for mediums, and built-in radar. So pretty exciting. Oh, also the horn sound. Oh, it just has a basic one. Damn. Well, they dropped the ball then, I guess. Take everything I said positively back about it. Alright, so for these parts, I have already spreadsheet these. As per usual, I have been lazy, and instead of writing left and right, I just pluralize the word itself. So instead of a left and right fairing bottom, we have fairing bottoms. Helps if I spell it correctly. And then I'm also guessing its position, thus the orange text here, because I'm assuming it'll be with the rest of the nomads and be in helicopter, but at the same time, they literally split up the Syndicate parts with the Hyperborea cast parts, so who knows? I'm not going to swear by it. And the volumes are guesses again, especially because these are not very nicely shaped parts at all. So the narrow is approximately 4 pips of volume, so 1 by 1 by 4. We have the fuselage vault, which is approximately 2 by 4. And again, there's the left and right for that. We have the tail boom base, which is approximately 4 by 2 by 2. And it's kind of dumb to me they only gave us 2, because then you can't make like fake turbines or fake jet engines by having 4 or 8 of them. So some room to improve there again, guys. We have the fairing tops. So these are approximately 2 by 3s. I hate how like zoomed in they are on the smaller pieces, because they make them look absolutely massive, but they just scale it up to fill the window better, quote unquote. So instead there's just these itty bitty things which seem enormous. We have the fuselage slope. So these are 4x2. So again, they look enormous. They look like they'd be like the tram doors, but they're not. They're tiny. They're 4x2. And again, we only get 2 of them, so I don't really know what you're going to do with them. We have the helicopter wing. These are interesting because not only are they fairly large, but we get 4 of them. So I'm pretty excited. The only disadvantage is they're only 3 wide for like the actual carry under the arm. So you could throw stuff on the end that's 4 wide or wider, but unless you can like partially clip through the strut here, you can't, for instance, mount Hurricanes here, which is unfortunate because that's what I was doing with my prior build before. And then you have the fairing bottom, so just the opposite of the fairing top, but it's 1 high instead of 2 high. And then, as you can see, no more structural parts, so what you see is what you get. So for the actual calculations, they added another Mars rover part with one of the packs recently. Just gonna double check which one that was. Okay, it's this one, the Electric Beetle pack, which I'm vindicated because it was another one that came out with the Copperhead Stadium, but I didn't buy it because I'm not really a fan of Crossout recently and their decisions. But in any case, they added a new Mars rover part with the pack, which kind of went announced. Like, people didn't really make a huge hurrah about it, but I'm a fan of structural parts, so new ones in battle passes and especially new ones in packs, great. Other than the like super big nerf to engineer badges. Like, I haven't done the calculations, but I'm telling you right now that unless you're in like an actual like big active clan, you got hella cucked on engineer badges now. So other than that, and you know, now structural parts and especially the box is going to be stupidly hard to get, and slowing the progress of newbies, which is something that's been discussed at length. But hey, we got some more Mars rover parts, so that's cool. So I'll also add that here real quick. Why they did that out of like nowhere, I don't know. But again, I'm a fan. You can also see my process, how exciting. Because that's what people were missing, obviously. And I gotta rework so many things. So approximate size for this is gonna be a 3x3x1 with 1 corner cutout. In theory, it's exactly like 2 halves, so it's actually 7. Like 6 full parts and then 2 half parts. But again, I'm just calculating it based off of the amount of pips it fully blocks off. Them's the estimates we's using. And these are the calculations as a result of that. And the new helicopter parts, again, they're all very weirdly like shaped and they're all concave, so I can't pretend that this is an exact measurement, but it's the same issue with the syndicate parts, where it's impossible to get a good actual solid number. But in any case, this one kind of breaks some trends if you are to believe the approximate volume I give it, because it has a very high durability per mass and power score, but also has pretty good durability per volume. So as you can see, normally these things are like in opposition to one another, and this one's like, I do them all better than the average. So yeah, that's a thing. And then I'm not going to bother showing the maps because I think there'll be other streams that do a better job of that. I guess we can look at the Battle Pass itself. Exciting times. So, for those who haven't seen it before, I've done some calculations for stuff, so for seasons and whatnot. So based off of what we know, I don't know why I have this section here. Alright, well, I'll just eat that. I can get it back online if I need it later. Anyway, so based off of what we know, which is the duration of it, which is going to be ending on February 7th, so they tell us the day it starts, and then how many resets we have, which is the 117 from now plus the 2 that have already occurred. So if you didn't log on before reset today, you would be missing out on a full set of dailies. But there are currently another 117 resets, the daily set now, and then again, theoretically the daily set from before, as well as the 17 sets of daily or weekly challenges, because we already had a set to begin with, and then there's another 16 sets. We know the math is literally identical to Road to Singularity for how much EXP you get per week, so it seems like they are staying with this new lowered value compared to the higher ones they were using before for faster progression. Who knows, maybe it'll drop again later. And then because it's also a shorter battle pass by 1 week, means that we get less EXP total. So our final max battle pass level is only going to be 141. The max level for what you can earn for free / buying the pass without buying any extra levels is also exactly 7 levels shorter, because again, the event is a week shorter. But thus it also means that percentage-wise we're closer to maxing it out for free. How fun. So for the actual breakdown, this is going to be Cancer. Apologize in advance. I'm looking at completely redoing this. So I currently have, this sort of system where it has like a price lookup for value, and then you type in the things of what, and then it just spits out the total value. I'm probably going to do that because at some point, like, I don't really want to have to redo all of these, but like my original plan of just having basically a chart of the value of the item and then how many of those items you get and then thus the total value kind of goes out the window when they keep adding more and more and more new categories of stuff every fucking battle pass. So this is like an abomination now. But in any case, to go over this fairly quickly, so this is my attempt at looking at the approximate value of a thing in total and then a value of the thing in its time period. So because some of these things are based off of Xbox values and thus aren't transferable to other platforms, some things are inherently transferable, like coins, for instance, are a 1-to-1. This is technically seasonal currency now that we have bearings and lighters rather than just lighters. Some of these things we don't really have a solid value for. Some things can be more or less decided via like the crown cost, which again is what I'm doing here, but it's basically a clusterfuck. But in any case, ideally determine a value for each of these different categories, and then you'd calculate how many of those you get, and then that's the total value. So for instance, if we say a expansion for Blueprint is worth 500 coins each for Xbox, and then you get 3 of those and then 5 of the storage ones, then look at that, you can calculate how many you get total. Yay, super easy. But again, this is just, it's a mess, and a lot of these values are empty just because I haven't gotten around to or thought of a like good way to actually determine them. And again, there's just so many categories now. But in any case, to go over what this means, so this is specific for this season, so we are going to have our 122 levels that you can obtain for free / with buying the one level of the Battle Pass. So I guess in theory the free one is up to 121 rather than 122 because buying the Battle Pass gives you 1 level. So it actually should look like that and then be based off of that as an endpoint, but I used the 122. It doesn't really matter, but I'm just going to correct that because whatever. So the breakdown for this is going to be, I have added a new 0th level, which is to say the event itself gives stuff technically. In the case of the current one, by default it gives you like lighter exchange one, or sorry, bearing exchange ones at level 0 that you don't have to unlock. So it's kind of a bad system in my eyes for me to say that, but the reason why I mention that now is because we also unlock other ones later on for the items specific to the season, which is to say at level 1 you wouldn't be doing exchanges for any of these because you wouldn't have any of the seasonal currency to exchange for them, but they are available, and then you unlock some later, which is also Cancer because all of these are paid ones, but I'll get to that. There's also a incoming gift, which I didn't notice anybody ever talking about, so I just claimed it to find out what it was. So I had an incoming gift for the next 10 days. So for the first week and a half, if you play the event, you grab that incoming gift. Highly recommend it, because it says it gives Big Bird, and then it doesn't actually specify what that is. What that is is the Big Bird Armored Aircraft. So is it good? No. Does it suck? Yes. Does it also give you free things? Yes. Am I a simp for free things? Yes. If you're a newbie, are you going to be even more so? Yes. Because these surface decors, you literally can't get them from anywhere. I've played the game for the last 3 years. They have not come out in any way, shape, or form. And then in this event, they just give them away to you for free. 2 of them. So that's kind of them. Some common items, some structural parts, some decor, and then one of these, which again was an item that you could only get one of via the Battle Pass. You could have bought others off of people, but like there was a limited amount of them on the market since there was only one per person, and now they just gave you another one for non-tradable. Sure, it doesn't take up space, whatever. You can salvage it if you want. You can recycle it, whatever. It's free stuff. It doesn't take up space. It's beautiful. Love it. So now you can always make one of these bad boys, unless you salvage the free white items, which again, I don't know why you would. But so they gave you that for free, so that's pretty neato. Does it make up for all the sins they commit? Nope. It helps. So this calculation includes those. So it includes the 8 common items, the 1 rare item, the 1 rare upgraded item. That's a lie. It doesn't actually have a rare upgraded item. Wow. And then the 5 common decor, the special decor, the epic decor, and then the rare paint. So that's what that is, the 0th level, and it's only around for 10 days, so make sure you get it. Make sure you get it. Excellent. So for level 1, I'm not going to go through this entire thing, but for level 1, I also included the other vehicle that they give you, which wasn't very clear at all either, because they just hate making things clear for us. So this is not a blueprint for any event game mode. It has been that before. This is not a training ground decoration. It has been before. This is actually just straight up a pack that they give you. Well, I mean, like, you're paying for it. It's not free, but it's a pack that you get as a result of buying the Battle Pass. So again, is it great? Is it perfect? No. Is it pretty fly to get for, like, especially new people? Yes, especially because these items are actually tradable. So, like, you can theoretically exchange it for more money or upgrade some other items or whatnot if you want. So, also very cool. So this includes a bunch of stuff. Most notably, it includes 10 different parts from the badge. Well, not different, but 10 parts from the badge exchange. So the shoulder rests, the arm rests, and then 3 sets of the buggy corners. So that actually saves you a lot of a lot of engineer badges on the badge exchange for structural parts if you didn't already have those. So that's kind of cool. So yeah, that's pretty cool, and that's what that includes, and that is again included in the calculation here. So that's what all these numbers are for. And then of course the rest of these just go through: is it free, is it paid, how much of value does it give you, etc. So I will hide all of these values here. So again, reminder that the breakpoint for free is level 121. The breakpoint for paid is 122. Anything after that, you're going to have to pay money for. It's an extra cost on top of the Battle Pass. And that's what these 3 different counts are for. This is for up to level 121. This is for level 122. And then this is for level 122 to 141. After that, it's just a flat 15 per level for bearings, so it's a bit easier to calculate. But just so that all of that is fairly clear, this is going to be the total count of it. So I'll just go through this really quickly. So we have a profile picture, banner, logo, sticker, some of these. Like I said, I'm actually kind of, I don't know if upset's the right word. I don't know if they've done it before, but it kind of seems extra dirty that not only did we go from getting multiple items of like legendaries from a Battle Pass and permanent blueprints for crafting. So for instance, I can still craft the Nova because I was here for the event 3 years ago. If you're around before I was, you'd have the permanent Founders blueprints. They took those away, and then they gave us work pieces, which are temporary ones, and then they took those away, and now we only have seasonal opportunity for crafting these new items, which is why I'm not even sure if they're going to be permanent, because if they're permanent, you're going to have permanent game mode changing items locked behind being able to only be crafted for the one event, and then if you want to upgrade them, you have to also have bought the pass. Like, this is a lot of layers of FOMO and just like ugliness on top of one another. And again, I have like 3 revamps to do for my fucking spreadsheet, just for the like season calculations, but having to log in every day in order to get the challenges, to actually get enough bearings to actually exchange for stuff sucks. And then having to buy the battle pass to get some of the things kind of sucks, but is reasonable. But then having to buy the battle pass to also make the upgraded versions of them is extra feels bad. So if you don't buy the battle pass at all, not only do you have like 0 bearings, but you won't even be able to turn them into any of the new things. You'd have to buy the like regular things, or you'd have to craft or buy these like basic ones off the market. Oh my god, dude, those things are not worth 6,000. Oh, whale's gonna whale, bro. Look at him go. My god, that's insane. These are like these legendaries aren't even like grossly overpriced. Funny. Also of note, because this is going to be on literally every build ever, this is probably why people aren't selling these, because they kind of came to the same conclusion I did, which is like, why would I not have this on a build? So why would I not want to run these? So why would I want to sell these to people, because then they can use it against me in every match? So I suspect this is going to be problematic unless they change it to be in aerial modes only, but you can see it's only armored car and armored aircraft. It's not only in the aircraft mode. I don't know. I don't know. Just some points I make, especially because now that they've separated the craft blueprint and the upgrade blueprint as both paid and as both rewards of separate tiers. Basically, a lot of these levels are just like trash, quote-unquote, rewards. So bearings in like very low values, which aren't worth much until you amass hundreds and then cash them in. And these blueprints, which are temporary, and the parts, or the upgraded parts, which are temporary and also paid. So there's a lot of bloat to these battle passes. I will note, getting a garage is a new one. That's pretty cool, even though for some reason they made it so that you can't actually do building of the test range of this garage. But other than that, yeah, like, I'm a simp for aircraft stuff, so I'm gonna be real, I'm probably gonna buy this battle pass. But I mean, there's still just a lot of decisions, especially on the monetization side of things, that I'm not really a fan of. But art team popping off again with the cosmetics, so A+ to them as per usual. Especially these structural parts are cool. The weapons are cool. This thing goes burr. Love it. Probably gonna hate it because I'm sure it's overpowered, but whatever. Then we get the introduction of a new duck, which is a Battle Pass exclusive. So that kind of feels bad because it's not tradable, which means that, again, if you want one, period, ever, until such a time as they reintroduce it, you have to buy the Battle Pass and then get to that level. Well, vice versa, technically. It doesn't matter what order you do them in. But you have to do both of those things. So that kind of feels, you know, kind of bad. Again, not unreasonable in theory, but pretty bad. Oh, I gotta click back in here, of course. And then we have quote-unquote bonus levels, but like, you can still get the free rewards up to here, and admittedly the free rewards suck as well because you're spending like a week to get one crate with like 20 resources. So it's like, if I wait a week and complete all my challenges and log on daily, I can get the amount of resources I get from just doing one mission. So I don't know. Like, on the plus side, like, it can give you uranium, but I've literally never gotten uranium, and I've gotten every single one since they've had these come out. So I don't like your chances. Badges are cool, especially because they made it a lot harder, and thus they're more valuable, but also they're not actually valuable. They just made it more grindy and hard to get, so I'm not counting that necessarily as a win. And then, again, just a super long flood of like 15 bearings, so it's like you're spending a week to get not even a eighth of the resources needed for one single special, and also you're a goober if you exchange your Battle Pass exclusive currency for a upgraded special item. Even if you're a newbie, you're just better off getting more of the like epics or legendaries, or especially like the season exclusive ones. So I don't know. I don't know. And also there's just, a lot of them. At least we have a crate that gives you a special, though you have to pay for it. And there's a little upgrade to those crates to the epic tier ones. And then a free epic item. But also you're going to have to do every single daily. And then we have a nice little cache of them. Another little one here. And then just a bunch more bearings with a bunch more breakpoints. So you'll notice the big caches of 200 are obviously where people are going to aim for / try and end. So as far as the actual math on it, how do you get those? Well, you don't. So as per the level breakdown, our highest is level 121. So that ends, for free. So that ends on the purple crate here. The paid one ends at the next one, which is 15. So you're gonna have to buy at least 3 levels to get the 230. And then likewise, if you want the other bundles, you're gonna have to buy another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 levels, and then another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 levels. So yeah, it's just extra shitty as far as the actual bearings count you get. So if you play for free, you're only going to get 150 anyway. So, it's almost like you can get that one special upgraded item. So it's like not even worth doing the battle pass at all, basically. If you're only going to get the free bearings to cash it in, you're getting one single special one, and you're still going to have to log in for so many days in order to get it. I'm looking at the list on my computer. So actually, to be fair, all the free bearings end at level 72, which is terrible, but they end at 72. So you can actually just do the main pass, get up to 75 for free, and then get your one like epic fused thing. Special. Probably the engine, ideally. But also the opportunity cost, the value from these is ludicrous. So if you do the free plus paid, you're going to be getting a whopping 1185, which as per last time is not enough to get 2 fused legendaries. So sucks to be somebody who does stuff and doesn't want to buy those extra levels. And if you do buy all the extra levels there, well, gee, you can get 2 fused legendaries. How fun. Now, I will note that you actually have a good choice this time, wherein you can get multiple epics that you didn't already have. So, for instance, last season, I actually got a fused humpback because I wanted a mass humpback, and they have not given us an event, a quote-unquote crafting event for a guaranteed upgrade for a while. And I had an odd number of lighters left over. You can get multiple of the new Rotors. Or, and this is probably the route I'm going to try and go, you can just get a second one of the Starfalls. Since they cost 6 energy, you can have a max of 2 of them on one build anyway, which means that you have one from the blueprint, or from the battle pass, and you can put most of your lighters towards getting a second one. Likewise, you can do the same thing with the Dove if it sparks joy, and you should 110% never in your life spend 650 bearings on an upgraded flock. I swear to God. I said it's overpowered, or, well, maybe I didn't say it's overpowered. It'll definitely be overprominent. It might be overpowered. It is definitely not enough so to be worth one of these bad boys. Why they didn't just make it an epic, I don't know. But they did. So, yeah. And then you can't even get it fused cabin, another one, which is kind of funny, but at the same time you only need one of those anyway, so it makes sense that if you buy the battle pass you'll get it upgraded already and then you won't need to get them. But again, why would you get a second fucking flock? I don't know. So yeah, that is a significantly shorter stream than my prior ones for all of the data on these, so hopefully that thus makes for a better stream, higher quality content per minute. But I think that basically sums up not only the update, but all my thoughts on the update.